Caramel apple cake is my way of turning one of fall's classic treats into a layer cake. By combining 3 types of apple flavor with homemade caramel frosting, this cake is sure to become a family favorite. If you want the recipe, keep watching. This southern caramel apple cake is really easy to make. It starts off with one 15.25 ounce box of white cake mix and 1 small box of vanilla pudding. Of course, we need apples. I'm using 1 cup of mashed apples. What I did is I peeled and cut some golden delicious apples, 1 large apple and 1 small apple. And after I peeled and cored them and cut them, I drizzled them with some lemon juice. I put them in the freezer, and now a few hours later when I'm making the cake, I microwaved them on high for 5 minutes, and then I took my handheld immersion blender to mash them up into a very chunky applesauce like consistency. I think you could use unsweetened applesauce if you wanted to, but I think since this has more texture to it, it's going to be better. It has the texture of crushed pineapple. And I know that crushed pineapple is in a lot of southern cakes like carrot cake and hummingbird cake, so in my opinion, it just makes sense to use that same texture, but with apples. I'm also going to use 1/3 of a cup of chopped walnuts, 1/3 of a cup of flaked coconut, about 50 or 60 grams. I'll have to check for the walnuts, and 80 grams for the flaked coconut. I'll have to check on that. 1/4 cup of buttermilk. And really, I'm substituting. There's my oven. I'm using a substitute right now. I didn't have enough in the carton, so I put a little bit of water in the carton, switched it around, and then added about half of a tablespoon of non-fat Greek yogurt to this. I didn't think it made sense to buy more buttermilk for just a small amount, so I'm improvising. You could add a little bit of vinegar to milk, but then you don't have the probiotic aspect of buttermilk. Honestly, I don't think it's that big of a deal. I think you could leave it out if you wanted. 3 eggs, 1/4 cup of oil, 1 teaspoon of vanilla, 1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon, and 1 tablespoon of apple cider vinegar to help make it light and fluffy and add to the apple flavor. I know this is a lot of ingredients for an apple cake, but I'm envisioning something kind of like a carrot cake or hummingbird cake, a cake with a lot of ingredients, a lot of texture. I think it's going to be good. So, like I said, this cake is really easy. All you have to do is add the pudding to the cake mix, and then add in the mashed apple. I used 300 grams of cut apple, so the bag was 300 grams, and I used pretty much all of that, just so you have a measurement in grams of how much apple you will need. Then for the walnuts, the coconut, 1/4 cup of improvised buttermilk, 1/4 cup of oil, 3 eggs, and then the smaller ingredients over here, the vanilla, the cinnamon, 1/2 teaspoon, and the 1 tablespoon of apple cider vinegar. Now all I need to do is blend. Honestly, I think I might have to add a little bit more liquid. If I do, I'm going to add some apple juice. We'll see. So I actually decided to add 1/2 cup of store-bought apple juice. Just the apple juice that you buy at the store. Nothing too fancy. So after I added 1/2 cup of apple juice, I am going to now beat this. I may add more, we'll see. Honestly, I think it'll be okay. As you can see, half a cup of extra apple juice was enough. I'm not gonna lie, I could not resist. I tasted the batter even though it has raw eggs, and it was delicious. So I'm really excited. I am going to now put the cake batter into my prepared pans. Of course, I'm going to use my scale to help me. And then these are gonna go into a 325-degree oven for 25 to 35 minutes, but my guess is 35. So I will bring you back. What makes this an apple caramel cake is the southern caramel frosting. Although I will be explaining how to make caramel frosting in my next video. In short, caramel frosting is butter, sugar, and evaporated milk that is cooked long enough to make a spreadable frosting. It's a common frosting for southern caramel cake as well as blackberry jam cake. I'm not going to lie, making caramel frosting is a bit trickier than making my cream cheese frosting, so if you want to make it, be sure to take notes on the next video. My recipe is based on the YouTuber Chris Cook for You2's recipe, so if you watch both videos, I'm sure that you won't have any trouble at all making caramel frosting. However, I definitely think that there's such a thing as too sweet. Once the caramel frosting had cooled, it was time to dig in. This apple caramel cake was absolutely delicious. Although I pretty much made up the recipe as I went along, all in all, I was pretty satisfied with how it turned out. It was interesting that just like in my last video, my braised beef shank with apple, I used the same 3 forms of apple to flavor this cake. Golden delicious apple, apple juice, and apple cider vinegar. Although there is definitely a lot of good apple flavor, I think that I might have to break with what I normally do, and next time I'll probably use Granny Smith apples. Granny Smith apples are tarter than yellow apples, and I think that having more of a tart cake combined with the really sweet caramel frosting will be better. But don't get me wrong, this apple caramel cake was still extremely delicious, and I really liked how the nuts and the shredded coconut gave it a bit more texture than you would expect. If you want to make a tartar cake in order to better contrast with the really sweet caramel frosting, I think that maybe replacing the vanilla pudding with some sort of lemon pudding or lemon gelatin would be a good idea. However, I definitely think that there's such a thing as too sweet. And over time, I've learned that I really like things that are sweet but combined with some other flavor, whether it be spicy or salty or sour. I guess that's why I really like things like key lime cake or key lime pie or lemon icebox pie or Argentine dulce de membrillo and a pasta frolla, things like that. Things that are sweet yet have some other flavor in the background. That said, I just want to say that I don't think this cake would really work out, at least not with the caramel frosting, if you use a really sweet apple like a Fuji or a Honeycrisp. I think it would just be too sweet. One thing I love about this time of year is seeing all the different varieties of apples and being able to compare and contrast them. If you don't eat a lot of apples, I encourage you to buy a few different varieties and try them. You'll be surprised how the same fruit can be so different. If you're looking for more apple recipes on my channel, I want to point out that not only did I already upload an Argentine Dutch apple pie recipe earlier this year, but last fall I also uploaded an easy American style apple pie recipe. Together with the braised ham hock and braised beef shank recipes, you have a lot of apple recipes to choose from all season long. So if you make one of my apple recipes this fall, be sure to let me know. Now get ready to learn how to make southern caramel frosting. Thanks for watching. If you liked this video, please be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe. For more information about Argentinian food and southern recipes, please visit my website, arnoldthechef.com, and be sure to follow me on social media. Right now, I'm most active on Twitter and Instagram. Once again, thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye.